Kuhn is the fullback with the first and goal. Kuhn gets the ball. Pyle trying to make his way in for the touchdown. What a great second effort.
Y'all don't really want it like that. Here comes the here comes the here comes the y'all don't really want it like E-double-L. I said so. I keep big bills up in my heart on the dirty like blood. So ain't got no twist in my head, but I'm still dreadful.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Fantasy Fullback Dive, brought to you by the good people at the Roto Street Journal, paving your way to fantasy excellence and fantasy glory, fantasy championships, even though it's the end of January. 2022 championship weekend right now. Tomorrow, the big conference championship games. And, of course, if you were listening to us on Thursday, we are previewing the 2022 Fantasy Big Board, brought to you exclusively by Roto Street Journal and the Wolf of Roto Street himself. I'm, of course, your host, Nat the Truth Jones, and with me, as always, the Wolf of Roto Street. And the more the merrier today, joining us as a duo, now we're a trio for the first time all season, it's CJay. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing good. We got I don't know how you're getting hit over snow over there in East Bumfuck, Mass, or wherever the hell you are, but
no. The geography is simple, actually. I live in the West, and you live in the East. Right.
True.
But go ahead.
Yeah, we're getting destroyed over here, but what better reason to just sit in and talk some prize picks, talk some bets, talk all that good stuff as we get juiced up for tomorrow. I'm excited. It's going to be tough to top what we saw last weekend, guys, but I think we had two great games, so I wouldn't be shocked if it approaches that level. How about you, CJay? How you doing over where are you at? And
I'm up in the north. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
Up in northern Mass. Yeah, I'm doing good. I mean, the wind was howling at 3 a.m, so it was up until about 8. Wouldn't stop for some reason. And and I'm ready to talk some gambling. That's my favorite thing. So,
how much snow do you guys actually have in the East? And when I say East, I actually mean East. But how much snow do you guys have?
I couldn't even tell you. There's so much wind. It's just been blowing all over the place. It doesn't look like it's that much.
We've ended up we've been on kind of the edge of one of those bands where it's definitely been snowing, but it's not really more than a couple inches. It's supposed to keep going for, a few more hours. But when it's said and done, I think it's going to be a pretty easy 3-4 inches to shovel. Everything should go back to normal tomorrow. But it sounds like you guys are really taking it on the chin there. We got two big games, like the Wolf said. We got the Bengals being hosted by the Chiefs, and, of course, we have the 49ers being hosted by the Rams. There's history with both of these matchups. I mean, we've had a Chiefs-Rams, they just played like 4 weeks ago, something like that. It was a great game. And if not for that win by the Bengals, the Chiefs, I think, would be riding an 11-game winning streak right now, which, yeah. I mean, it's weird how little we're talking about that. I feel like that is an amazing display of dominance from the Chiefs. You think that you think we're sleeping on the Chiefs? Is that possible? Could we be sleeping on a team that's doing as well as they are?
No, I'm not. I've been calling them the Super Bowl favorite this entire time. I thought they're going to go all the way. They're going to win it all, and I still think so. But I'm excited for this game regardless. I do think it's going to be a great one. So as we said at the top, betting preview. I don't do a ton of betting. I know, CJay, you're kind of the master of that. So ultimately, looking at the lines here, I just kind of pulled them in there. I'd love to chat those through with you guys.
Let's do it.
We got a 54 over-under. Love that prop line. +7 Bengals, 270 money line here. So let's chat through that. What are your guys? I obviously have my takes, and I'll give them in a sec. But CJay, why don't we start with you since you're the betting guru over there? What are your thoughts on the line, the spread, the over/under? What are you hitting?
Yeah, so I mean, the AFC Championship was last week, as we know it. This is just it's there. But I'm going with the Chiefs -7, taking the points though. With them, I feel like it could be a little bit of a shootout in the beginning, but I'm leaning towards, definitely the over, but I'm going to think of like a 42-24 or something like that. Maybe it's a little tight in the first half, then I think the Chiefs just have too much firepower and they're going to blow doors at the end.
Well, I'll tell you, it always makes me feel good because I'm kind of like you. I'm not much of a bettor, but it always makes me feel good when the resident expert says his picks and they're the same as mine. So I also like the Chiefs giving up 7. And I could see the Bengals keeping it close early, but I don't think I would take I don't think I'd take the Bengals +7, anything like that. Chiefs -7 seems like the play. And I also like the over. Remember, they played, less than a month ago, 34-31, but the Chiefs were up 28-17 at halftime in that game. If you look at it quarter by quarter, it's boggles the mind that, it's just like the Chiefs scored 3 points in the second half. There doesn't seem to be much rhyme or reason to it. The Bengals, remember, they got like 9 shots, like first and goal, it seems like at the end. And sure, eventually they scored and they did win the game. But it just kind of seemed like a lot of stuff had to go wrong for the Chiefs, right, for the Bengals to pull that out. And I love the Bengals, by the way. Like, and you and I on our preview show, we both have the Bengals in this game from the start in the AFC Championship game. So they're right where we expected them to be. I think the Chiefs are going to be a little bit too much. I like the over. I like the Chiefs giving up 7.
I actually go with the Bengals +7, not money line. I do think the Chiefs win this one, but I do think the Bengals will be able to keep it within 7. I do love the over bet as well, as you pointed out, Nat. Only 3 points from the Chiefs, and they still smashed the over. 3 second-half points, that is, for the Chiefs.
Right.
They still went over 65 points. 54. They should have no problem destroying that. So that's the easiest bet. And I always kind of, on the playoff weekends, just like to hammer overs and root for points. Who doesn't love doing that? I always hammer the overs anyways, but I am definitely smashing that one. I do think the Chiefs will keep it within 7. They are actually 6-0 against the spread in their last 6 games. Past history, I know it doesn't necessarily mean they're guaranteed to go 7-0 against it, but they continue to undervalue this Bengals team, in my opinion, in Vegas. And I do think, yes, the Chiefs are dominant. Yes, this is at Arrowhead. So I don't think the Bengals pull out the win, but I will take them with the points and ultimately covering the spread here. Let's go.
Yeah, I do. I think going back to their last matchup, that's when Tyreek's heel was kind of an issue. So I don't think he really did much in that game, and that their offense just isn't as explosive without him.
Well, and that kind of leads to the next series of questions, more specifically, like how you see the game going, if we haven't already touched on that. But also, who are some guys you could see having some big performances? I'll kick that off because the first bullet point on my list I just have written, I'm expecting a very big game from Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. The Bengals defense is giving up among the tops in the leagues in 20-plus yard pass plays, explosive pass plays. And as you pointed out, CJay, we had a less than full health Tyreek Hill, who went just 6 for 40 their last time out. I do agree with you, Nat. I think this one's going to flip completely, and we get yet another massive Tyreek day. But I don't think that comes at the expense of Travis Kelce myself. He's now gone 95-plus yards in 6 straight playoff games. He's also scored 6 touchdowns across his last 5 games. I love Travis Kelce and the way he rolls in the playoffs. Last year, Kelce and Tyreek Hill, even in only 3 games, were the 2 leading receiving yarders in the playoffs last year, but they both led the leaderboard there in only 3 games. And they're just continuing that dominant stretch here in 2022, but across the entire time. So I do think these guys, they lean on their studs. We see it every playoffs. I think big games from Tyreek, big games from Travis Kelce. And I love Joey Burrow on the other side. Last time out there, he threw for 440 and 4 touchdowns. I don't know that we get quite that game, but 300 plus, 3 touchdowns. I think Jamar Chase, they're going to be focused on not letting him go 11 catches, 266 yards and 3 touchdowns like last time. But I still think they have no one that can contain him. So I think it's going to be back and forth fireworks. I think this is the game to target when we talk about DraftKings a little bit later. This is obviously the one that we should be stacking up and going all in, but I'm just going all in on the studs. And that's kind of what happens in the playoffs. Do you feel similarly, CJay? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm right there with you guys. Just like the big guys on the Chiefs, Tyreek. I still can't get over that touchdown that he had at the end of the game last week when he just caught that where
he just ran away from everybody.
Yeah, any other player in the NFL would have been tackled for a 15-yard gain.
Yep, no question.
It's completely insane.
Giving the preemptive peace sign before to the guy.
Yeah, on the 15-yard line.
Ultimate disrespect.
Right, the guy was a yard or 2 away from him. Yeah.
But yeah, I would Tyreek, Kelce, even Pringle. Pringle's been a touchdown machine, even though I hate him after coming up a yard short in my prize picks last week. But they're big guns, they're passing offense. And then maybe Higgins on the other side. I know, as you talked about, Chase, he's not going to replicate what he did last time. So Higgins could have a huge game, but yeah, I'm still going with the passing attack.
What do you guys think about the Wolves boy, Jerick McKinnon?
The backfield's a really tough one to discern that.
I know, right?
It really comes down to the game flow for me. If the Bengals do keep it the shootout that I'm expecting, I think McKinnon can have a solid day because he's the clear receiving back, ran 79% of the routes last week out there. But if they get a 2-touchdown lead or so, and you guys are liking the Chiefs with the 7 points, that kind of favors the Clyde Edwards-Helaire script. He averaged over 7.9 yards a carry last week. He looked pretty decent for his first game back, no doubt about it. They just were in such a tight game that it became a McKinnon game script. So And then you got Daryl Williams potentially playing as well. He had the huge game out last time. Now, granted, neither McKinnon didn't touch the ball once. We had Clyde out, but we had 2 touchdowns and 88 yards from Daryl Williams last time these guys played. So we can't discount him either. To me, that's just kind of a nightmare of a situation. I don't hate Clyde Hilaire's like 35.5 rushing yardage prop, especially if it's, again, the game script you guys expect with the Chiefs winning and covering those points. But I'm kind of avoiding this backfield in general with bets, with prize picks, with DraftKings. I'm not touching this backfield myself.
No, me either. There's some numbers I saw in prize picks where I was maybe I should pull the trigger. It seemed enticing. And then I was just like, why? I mean, it's like a coin flip, but like worse. Anyway, you want to move on to game 2? You want to talk 49ers Rams?
The one other player I did want to talk about is Tyler Boyd. I mean, he's had 13 or more fantasy points in 5 of his last 6, 18% target share on the year. And the Chiefs are a bottom 3 unit at covering slot receivers. So he just seems to be one of those sneaky guys, 4,200 on DraftKings. Again, we're going to talk about our cheap picks later. But he's a guy that I wouldn't be shocked. And another guy, I like his prize picks a lot. So I did want to highlight him in his matchup. Whereas T. Higgins, I know, CJay, you mentioned he could have the big game should they put that focal point on Jamar Chase. But if they do the same defensive coverage they did last time, they really put their lockdown corner, the Chiefs, who is expected to play. I know Tyrann Mathieu is expected to be back, as is Fenton, their top corner. They put him on Higgins last time, and that kind of took him out for a decent amount. 3 catches, 62 yards, just a meh game overall. So I'm actually fading Higgins myself here and going to the cheaper Boyd. And of course, Mixon, too. A big game from him wouldn't shock anybody. What do you think of Mixon, CJay? Are you touching any of his lines? You think he has a decent game this weekend?
No, because I think it's just going to be like a pass-happy offense going back and forth. I want nothing to do with Mixon.
I also want nothing to do with Mixon. My biggest loss since I started doing prize picks was I went with Mixon to score an anytime touchdown a couple weeks ago, and it was just like the biggest garbage game from him. And so, no, I'm done.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked either. You'd have 7 catches against him last time, so potentially if there's any receiving lines out there, I haven't even checked there. He has been running all the routes in the playoffs, kind of Samaje Perine getting kicked to the back door. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Mixon have a decent receiving day, but that's really the only thing buoying him. I'm not touching any of his rushing lines. I'm with you guys there. I'd be intrigued to see if there's any receiving lines out there for Mixon. But yeah, that's the last thing I want to touch upon here in this game. Is there anything else you guys wanted to highlight?
No, I've said my piece, Wolf.
Yep.
All right. Let's move on over then to the 49ers and Rams. Over under 45.5 points here. 49ers plus 3.5 and plus 145 for the money line. Who are we picking there, Truth? What are your thoughts?
Oh, man, I'm going to get wishy-washy here, but I'll just tell you, I like the Rams to win. It seems dumb, but I like them to win. But I like the 49ers in the 3.5, I think, if I'm betting, which surprises me a little bit because I in my head, the Rams are going to win by like 21, something like that. But I just in reality, I think that's probably not going to happen. Previous matchups were 31-10. It was a drubbing by the 49ers early in the season. And that was when the Rams were really flying high, too. This really was the thing that took the wind out of their sails for like 7 weeks, something like that. And then they lost 27-24 in overtime in a game they were up 17-0. And that's the only reason the 49ers are even in the playoffs. So this could either come back to really burn the Rams, or this could be like, oh, well played by the Rams. You played possum, and now you get the 49ers to go to the Super Bowl. So we'll see. But I like the Rams to win. I like the 49ers with the points. Over under, very tough. I think I am going to slightly favor the over just because if I'm on the fence, I'd always rather pull for the over. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Nat. Actually, I have the Rams to win straight up, but the 49ers to cover the 3.5.
Nice.
I also, it's a divisional game. This is the 3rd time they've played this year. It's going to be a close game, I think. I'd lean under there though. I mean, but then I was like kind of going through scores, and I was thinking like 24-20. So it'll be like right around that number. I really like the number, but yeah, I'm with you with the Rams winning straight up, 49ers covering.
I had under actually written on my sheet. Just when it came time to say it, I couldn't bring myself to.
It feels so gross coming off the tongue, doesn't it? Under. It never feels good to say. And I'm actually hitting the under myself. And I know I'm like the biggest over enthusiast here. But I think, CJay, it's a great point. The 3rd time teams match up, it typically results in more defensive battles here. We're in lockstep here. I know you guys like the Chiefs with the points last time. I actually like the 49ers with the points, but the Rams to win as well. So
wow.
We are 3 for 3 in lockstep here. It is tricky given that, isn't it something like McVay is 0-5 against Shanahan across his career so far.
0-6, I think. Yeah.
0-6, even worse, even worse. So I do think this is going to be the week he gets the monkey off the back. He finally pulls it out. It just feels like a Chiefs-Rams Super Bowl, the way things are kind of brewing right now. That's how I'm envisioning it. And I do think it's going to be more of a defensive battle that ultimately the Rams push comes to shove, kind of like last weekend where they need a big play towards the end of the game. Stafford seems to be coming through big time right now. I'm betting on him to make a big play to Kupp or whoever it ends up being. And I think they end up pulling it out in a more of a defensive battle here. I think that 24-20 score, CJ, that's kind of right exactly what I was envisioning as well for how this game goes. But in terms of who has big games, what you guys see is unfolding as any stars in this game. Truth, do you have any like big, strong feelings about any players that might blow up this weekend in this game?
I mean, this is going to sound like a lot of chalk that I'm saying here, but Cooper Kupp or Stafford to Kupp this year in the 2 games against the 49ers, 18 for 20 for 240 yards. So I don't know. That's a data point, right?
not a bad one at all. And
throw the ball towards him.
Struggling too. Like he hasn't had good games so far.
Right. That was. I want to say that game with the first game with Kupp was like his worst game of the season or something like that. But
it was.
Did he have like 60 yards?
Yeah, 243, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions for Stafford. Their first meeting. The second meeting, he had a bit more scores, 238, 3 touchdowns, but also 2 interceptions. So this defense has gotten to him. They play a lot of cover 4. I was kind of reading about why is Stafford struggling against them, and they don't. Stafford's so good against the blitz. They haven't been hitting him as hard that way and dropping a lot into coverage. But as you mentioned, Kupp isn't the one suffering. 11, 122 his first time out. Second time out, 7, 118 and a touchdown. I mean, the guy just puts up 25 regularly. His over-under, I saw it on Prize Picks for fantasy points, was 23.5. And it's like,
yeah,
I mean, that's very fair. That's just insane that's his line these days. He smashed him. Stafford himself hasn't been great. I'd be shocked if Kupp doesn't do something big. I'm with you there. And easy prediction. I agree with you too. It's like the best receiver to play in a long time, record-setting receiver this year. But still, I could see that. They do have good inside coverage, but I like Kupp. I'm going to talk about in DraftKings, though. I don't love him to the point that I might actually be fading him in DraftKings. We'll talk about that when we get to our DraftKings section next. But I do like Kupp. What about the ground? I don't know, CJ. Obviously, I'm sure you like Kupp, but is there any other weapons here for the Rams you're considering? Anybody else you enjoy?
What's hilarious, though, is that I don't even get it. Well, just because his numbers are just so high on Prize Picks that it's like, I think last week it was like 98 yards or something. And so
I think it's 101 now or something.
I faded it last week, and I faded his number last week, and that was gone by like halftime. Because you're like, can he really go for like 100 again? And he just keeps doing it, and he's wide open every fucking play. And it just,
I know we say like, can he go 100 again? But it's like, how many times this year has he gone 100 in like his 18, 19 games, or like 15 or something?
It just doesn't make any sense because he's just wide open every single play.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense.
He's wide open. He's wide open.
But no, what I kind of wanted, I do like Odell Beckham. I mean, he's been such a schmuck for the past 5, 6 years.
5 years.
And now he looks like a real receiver again. He looks like himself. He's like running incredible routes. Him and Stafford are like on the same page. So I like Odell. And then I just kind of wanted to highlight, you did talk about Stafford's poor games against the Niners. But both quarterbacks combined for 6 interceptions in their 2 meetings this season. So I think there are going to be – I know Stafford hasn't thrown an interception yet in the playoffs, but there's going to be some turnovers, I think, especially with Jimmy G, Stafford, bright lights.
Cam Akers also has proven that he can put the ball on the floor.
Yeah, yeah, seriously. And I think the Niners lead the league in forced fumbles, so could be in trouble again.
Yeah, I also saw the Niners since week 10 haven't allowed a rusher to go over 40 yards. I believe is it maybe one out of those last 7 weeks, 8 weeks. So they've been a stalwart on the ground. I'm fading Cam Akers for sure. I don't like his prop lines. I know he's a great bet to get work, but I don't think he's going to do much with it. I mean, he had 24 carries last week and got 44 yards.
40 yards, yeah, something like that.
Abysmal efficiency with 2 fumbles. So I don't like the ground game. I do think they're going to have to get it done through the air. I wouldn't be shocked. And again, obviously Kupp will do some damage, but we saw last week the 49ers really just decide we're going to take Adams out and force someone else to beat us in that second half. And it worked. I wonder if they take that same approach and potentially the whole game and put everybody they can at him. they've done it in the past and it didn't work out. So I still don't know they will. But that's why I do like, I think Odell's very intriguing for the Rams side. On the 49ers side, I mean, Deebo Samuel, last time they met 4 for 95 in the receiving game, but then also 8 for 45 and a touchdown on the ground, well over 20 fantasy points. And then the game before, he had another monster. You could go to any game for Deebo and say he had a monster, but that one was intriguing because it came more in the air, 5 for 97 and a touchdown, as well as another touchdown, though, on the ground, 36 yards as well. So 2 total touchdowns. The guy's been a beast all year. We'll talk about him on DraftKings again. 7,200, just $200 more than Tyreek Hill, though. Who do you guys in a vacuum like more this weekend? Tyreek Hill or Deebo Samuel to put up more points? What do you think, Truth?
What was the question we got asked on the pod on Thursday? Somebody asked, it's Chase and Tyreek Hill. And you and I both, agonized a little and we both picked Hill. So now you're asking me the same question with Deebo.
I guess of all the 3 receivers, right? Chase, Deebo, Hill. Like, there are such great names to have at a disposal this weekend for DraftKings. Who do we like the most?
What about Kupp, man?
Obviously, Kupp like the clear number 1.
He's in his own tier.
He's in his own tier.
There's some pretty good guys out there. I'm gonna stick with Hill. I'm gonna stick with Hill, and I could qualify it a million different ways, but I guess I'm gonna say Hill. I trust Mahomes more than Jimmy G.
Yeah, I'm right there with you again. He just looks so fast and so good after kind of like the last 2 games of the season. His heel just looked terrible. He was limping around, looking awful. And then last 2 games he's been incredible. I'm going Tyreek.
Plus, you got Deebo a little bit banged up right now too. He's been practicing in full lately. He should be a full go, and we saw how they leaned on him in that last divisional game. I do think he has a solid game, but I'm with you guys too. I'd rather have Tyreek Hill if it's in a vacuum. Their last time they met, too, intriguingly, Brandon Ayuk, he didn't have a catch last game out, but he did lead the team in receiving with 107 yards, 6 catches. Also intriguing, Juwan Jennings had 2 touchdowns. So it was in that clutch moments for the 49ers. So it doesn't seem like it's 100% a fluke that this guy had 94, 2 touchdowns and 6 catches, more receptions than Deebo Samuel that game. He's also only 3,200 on DraftKings. I think Juwan Jennings is pretty intriguing as like a real dark horse sleeper of this game. Do you guys have any? I mean, we haven't even touched upon Kittle. Do you guys have any other names? Higbee, Van Jefferson, anybody else you see having decent games in this contest?
I told you on the pod on Thursday, and I was more talking about 2022, but what Higbee and Kupp are doing, how they line up by each other, it seems to be leaving Higbee strangely open a lot more lately. So even though the guy disappointed me the vast majority of the year, if you told me Higbee was going to have six catches for 60 and a touchdown, something like that, I wouldn't be shocked. I'll put it that way.
I had Higbee in my DraftKings lineup, but I don't know how, like, it's not really sneaky, but I do like Sony Michel just because of what we talked about with Akers with like a potential short leash. I mean, he could get a touchdown, maybe 2. I mean, if Akers fumbles in the first quarter, I mean, he didn't even touch the ball after that second fumble, so he could his short leash.
Maybe he's lost his job.
Yeah, I mean, we honestly have no idea how that backfield is. So.
I love that call. I think Sony Michel might be the ultimate like contrarian running back pick of the weekend. Take some balls to throw that out there because he's touched the ball, I think, once in the last 2 weeks. Yeah. But when he's gotten the work all year, he's been a low-end RB1 to high-end RB1. So I like that call a lot, CJay, as a real dark horse contrarian type of pick. And I think, truth, that Higbee call, we talked about it on Thursday, he does seem like he's really found a role in this offense and started to be leaned upon by Stafford. He did have 6 for 55 and 2 touchdowns the last time these two teams met. So that could be intriguing. It seems like all of us are kind of off Kittle. And I mean, a guy that put up 30 points at a tight end position twice more than anybody else did. But then the last 6 weeks has been almost non-existent just because he's so good as a blocker. And if the game script goes well, that's how they're going to use him. And he loves it. He wants to just continue to mow people on the ground. I'm fading Kittle myself, and at only 5K on DraftKings, that could be a dangerous move. But do either you guys think a Kittle, bounce back type of game happens here, or what are your thoughts on him?
Nope.
Go ahead, CJay.
No, I don't know. I think the Garoppolo hand injury, the thumb injury is real, and even though we'll be inside, it's not going to be -5 degrees, snowing, and gross, where his hand is useless. But I don't know. I don't really like anyone in the passing game, to tell you the truth. I leaned Ayuk's over for receptions, but that might be just a few quick passes. But no, I wouldn't like Kittle.
Yeah, Kittle's he's always going to be kind of enticing because you've seen the ceiling so high, but it doesn't seem like there's a great reason to get too excited about him for this game. Whereas on the other side of the ball, like we said, if you told me that Higbee had joined Kupp and Stafford for breakfast like once or twice, I wouldn't be shocked.
These last couple weeks, especially.
I mean, making a quick appearance not every day, but like maybe twice a week.
Just brings over a little syrup. Hey guys, do you need a little syrup for your pancakes? Can I get you a little more bacon?
Right. He like fetches them muffins and stuff. Yeah,
exactly. Higbee coming out of the kitchen with the apron on. I can totally see it. Indeed, absolutely. And then the last guy I did want to talk about, just because I love him on DraftKings this weekend at 5,900, is Eli Mitchell. He's seen 21 carries, and I think it's now 6 to 7 straight weeks. Only twice on the year did he have under 17 carries. He's been the bell cow, and a Shanahan bell cow is sexy. Yes, it's a little bit capped because we've seen Deebo nibbling the cheese, especially around the red zone. But on a weekend where we already talked about how muddy that Chiefs backfield is, especially if Daryl Williams plays, this Rams backfield could go to Sony Michel, given the fumbling situation. Who knows what happens there? To me, I'm all in on going Mixon, Elijah Mitchell. And I think the field and DraftKings and whatnot will be as well. But I am intrigued by what Eli Mitchell will do, at least from a workload perspective. I don't love his lines because it's like 65 and a half with Deebo, also 36 and a half. Like I know they'll probably run for about 100 combined. I don't know exactly how it shakes out. So I'm not hitting the props, but I do like Eli Mitchell at his price point on DraftKings. What say you, Truth? I know you've been a big Eli Mitchell guy all year.
I'm not really a DraftKings guy, but I will tell you as just a teaser for our upcoming Prize Picks segment, friend of the podcast, Prize Picks, that I do like an Eli Mitchell Prize Picks rushing number. So we'll talk about that later.
CJay, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think I hate all the running backs this weekend, to tell you the truth. But just because you have to pick someone in DraftKings, I would go Eli at 5.9. I mean, he's a better option than anyone else, I guess, on the board. But I don't really.
An intriguing play, CJay, though. That Sony Michel, I'm coming back to it. I haven't really even considered that. But if you went like
take
Eli
it easy,
Mitchell
Wolf.
and Sony Michel, the amount of money you could save to then load up, it seems like a wide receiver type of weekend, right? When we've got the guys we just talked about, Kupp, Tyreek, Jamar Chase, obviously Kelce at tight end, Deebo Samuel, don't want to disrespect him. I mean, we've got these insane receiving weapons. I think it might not be a bad option with none of these running backs in great spots. Maybe I do fade Mixon, go to Sony Michel, save that money, and then it allows me to pay up and get 3 of those 5 big names, maybe even 4 of them into the lineups as receivers. That's an intriguing strategy. I really like that call. Sony touched the ball once, and it could look entirely horrendous, but it's certainly a way to get different, and I like that indeed. So speaking of DraftKings, we kind of been.
It seems like we're kind of oozing into this DraftKings segment here, Wolf.
So we might as well trickle on down. It looks like we do have about 10 of you guys with us. I love it. We kind of threw this together last minute, didn't preview it, and about 10 people in the Wolfpack are here. If you're here, please do consider giving us thumbs up, helping us get out to more people. Obviously, if you're new, if you're catching a replay and you've never been here before, please consider subscribing if you like what you hear. I think we may have crossed 2K. We might have gone back under it, like one person
back under.
Back under. So please be that person that pushes us back over the edge and potentially helps us continue to grow. It is so greatly appreciated here. And just want to remind you guys, Me and the Truth will be live every Thursday throughout the offseason, unless there's an emergency situation for either of us. We're going to just try to keep the conversation rolling all offseason. So if you like what you're hearing, we'll preview the football games whatnot over the weekends, but every Thursday, regardless of what's happening. So continue to tune in. Let's now transition, though, as you were saying, Truth. It seemed like a natural time to go over to DraftKings. And as we know, stacking is the most crucial part to a lineup. Truth, you said you don't play much DraftKings, but is there an offense, like if you had to pick one offense to kind of load up on this weekend, to stack on up, do you have one that's popping to mind?
Well, I mean, I think the super obvious choice is if you could load up some big Chiefs, you'd probably be happy about that, right? But, obviously there's money to be considered, and I would imagine none of the guys that I'm thinking about come super cheap. Am I right?
So Mahomes is $7,400. He's the most expensive quarterback, but by about $700. I think, Burrow's $6,700, the next closest. So it's not that crazy of a gap to, of course, the Chiefs, probably the best and most likely to be the best stack. Tyreek Hill's $7K, not that crazy of a price for him. We've seen him at $9K at different times throughout the year. So he's not bad. And then you got Travis Kelce, I believe, clocking in at $6,500. Love that bet. So it's really not impossible at all to stack up those Chiefs. Now, the thing is, it's probably going to come at the cost of you can't really fit in Cooper Kupp if you're going to go with a Chiefs stack like that. Now, are you willing?
Is Cooper Kupp your guy that like is he your first round draft pick in this? Are you building your lineups around him specifically just because he's that great?
Well, when we get to who are you fading versus locking in, I'm actually fading Kupp because I want to lock in Kelce. I want to lock in Tyreek. I want Jamar Chase. And you have to fade Kupp if you're going to have multiple of these guys. So there's a sneak little preview before we get there. I actually am not playing Cooper Kupp myself. Are you comfortable fading him if it gets you to that Chiefs stack?
Yeah, absolutely I am. The Chiefs stack's awesome.
I'm with you too. Yeah, exactly. I'm with you too. I'm going I found a way to get this is even I didn't have Michelle in my lineup, but I might put Michelle in my lineup now just to have fun. But before I just worked on it right before I had Mahomes, McKinnon, Tyreek, Kelce with Higgins coming back.
Oh, come on. That's fantastic. You're not even gonna miss Kupp.
And I think
I'm not worried about that.
McKinnon, certainly, if you're trying to stack a running back, as we talked about at the top, 79% of the routes, he's certainly the running back that correlates well with Pat Mahomes. So I like that play a lot. I personally, I think that Mahomes makes so much sense. If anybody's going to go for 40-something, it's going to be him. But I actually like going the other side of the ball. I am putting in Kelce and Tyreek to get a piece of that, like a big chunk of that Chiefs offense. But then I'm going with Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Tyler Boyd, as well as Uzuma as my favorite low-owned player. We'll talk about him in a sec. I really like going the Bengals side of things, assuming it does become a shootout, because then I get the points from the Chiefs loading up a lead here. And then I get Burrow on the other side. Again, 440 and 4 touchdowns in that narrative the last time we saw him. He maybe does outscore Pat Mahomes, who just had 260 and 2 the last time these teams meet. I do think Mahomes goes berserk. I think he's going to go for 304. He's going to have a day. I'm just kind of banking on saving that $700. It's kind of the difference between what you're doing, CJay, with like Higgins and the Chiefs stack. I now have the Chiefs, but I can go to Jamar Chase and then bank on maybe he goes for 35, 40 again. They have alternated him and Higgins 150-yard games within their last 4. So it could easily be Higgins at $700 cheaper. I kind of like getting those savings. It is a different, intriguing thing to think. Do you want Burrow and Chase or Mahomes and T. Higgins? That's an intriguing question to ask. Where do you lean on that one, Truth?
Well, when you put it like that, it's a lot tougher. The Burrow and Chase stack is pretty appealing. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know. I've found Higgins and Chase to be a real crapshoot throughout the year. There was a time, when it was like we talked about 1A, 1B, and Higgins might even been the 1A for a while. That has certainly not been the case lately, although Higgins is clearly the real deal. So I think I would probably lean CJ's way. Just the idea of being able to stack Mahomes with both Kelce and Hill and then still have an extremely viable Bengals, high volume target. That appeals to me a little more, but I definitely see where you're coming from with the Chase Burrow thing. That could seriously pay off too.
Yeah. Intriguing stacks all around. It does seem like all three of us are most intrigued in going after that game. And I think that's going to be how the field goes. It is the game with the 54-point over, nearly 10 points more than the other game. It makes sense to go after that one. We both talked about potential, defensive battles and hitting the under in the game before. Granted, it will be more contrarian if you want to get really ahead on those GPPs, the way Stafford's been playing, or especially, I couldn't touch Garoppolo myself, but I don't think anybody else will be touching Garoppolo as well. So if you think somehow that game does shoot out, Garoppolo maybe goes for like 303. He did have a decent game their last time out in that shootout. What did he end up with? 316 and a touchdown. So even that touchdown, touches, it wasn't even that good. Like that's the most yards he's thrown for in 14 weeks. Yet he still didn't have that overwhelming of a fantasy total. So to me, you're going to have to pick a stack from that first game to win, unless you really want to get contrarian. But even then, I think it might be getting a little too cute. That's how I view it. But is there any stack you'd consider for the second game, CJay?
I guess maybe like Stafford and OBJ, maybe. I don't know.
How do you not say Kupp?
Well, no, because I still want to get some Chiefs in there too. I don't know. I still prefer Tyreek at a lower price tag. I still prefer Kelce. I'd rather have them two and then one Kupp.
Yeah. I agree.
2 Chiefs, 1 Kupp.
I was going to say it, and I was like, is this too obvious?
It was too easy.
I'm just going to leave that sitting out there.
Yeah, 2 Chiefs, 1 Kupp.
But but to answer your question, no, there isn't one.
Yeah, I feel like we have to go after that first game and just hope the other one has that lower, the three times matching up, more of a defensive battle type of feel. Maybe it doesn't, but that's the way I'll certainly be attacking this slate. Me going Bengals, the other 2 going for the Chiefs. Now, in terms of low-owned, low-priced players, it's tough to get different on a 4-game slate. I think your call, CJ, do you want to kind of rehash what your take on Sony was? Because that might be the most low-owned but actually viable player of this weekend. What are you thinking about Sony? Why might he be a good play this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, Cam Akers' 2 fumbles. It's not that they were just regular fumbles, like in the middle of the first quarter. They were like game-ending fumbles. So they completely changed the tide of the game. It could have ended the game before half, going up 27-3, and then and then again at the end, which is like the most we don't want to win this game fumble of all time.
Oh, and then hiking the ball over Stafford's head. They really didn't want to win it. They were just like, these Akers fumbles aren't enough. Well, here you go. Like, we're gonna give it right back to you. I
swear, like, younger players now just like get petrified of Tom Brady, and they just don't. They're like afraid of what's gonna happen, so they just forget how to play football.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It really is. So yeah, I mean the 49ers lead the league in forced fumbles. Akers has the 2 fumbles from last week, and we don't even know if he's gonna be like a workhorse this week. He never was able to touch the ball after the second fumble, so who even knows what's gonna happen? But yeah, his leash is gonna be very short.
I think it's a great call, and I think you mentioned too earlier that you said the 49ers, no defense has forced more fumbles. I like that call as well. So that, again, we're not saying like a cash game, single entry type of thing. We're talking about trying to take down the millie, the $20, where you're trying to beat 200,000 other people. That's the type of play that you could pivot to. I mentioned 2 earlier that I'll just rehash here. Juwan Jennings, 3,200. Last time against these Niners, 94 yards, 2 touchdowns on 6 catches. They went to him in some very crucial clutch situations. So the team trusts him. He gets it done, it seems, whenever he gets the ball tossed his way. So I do think Jennings makes an intriguing late toss in. I also do love just a couple $100 more CJay Uzuma, who had that monster 18-point day in the round 1 of the playoffs, followed that up with 7 catches for 71 yards last week. He's had a real involvement in this offense. And so if I am going for Burrow stacks, if I have my, Tyler Boyd only 4,200, one of my favorite picks, but I think a lot of people will be on him. So we're talking about low-owned guys, low-price guys, though. 4,200 Tyler Boyd. He's one of my first players in, given how bad the Chiefs are against slot receivers. I think he'll have himself a solid day. But even cheaper, even lower-owned, I do think Uzuma, and then I think Juwan Jennings, 2 guys I'm really intrigued by as options. I do think also, with me going the Bengals stacks, an intriguing route might be putting in Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's coming in at half the ownership of Jerick McKinnon right now. He could easily have 2 touchdowns, and then Mahomes, if you're kind of fading the Chiefs stack, that might be a good way to go after it, is going after Clyde Edwards-Helaire and thinking he might pound into random touchdowns at very low ownership. So he's another name I kind of want to toss out there as like a low price, low owned guy. Right. Is there any just like sneaky sleepers you have to? I know, again, you don't play a ton of DraftKings, but is there any guys that you're like might be off people's radars, or anyone you've heard us talk about that you'd like to toss out there?
I want to just respond to what you said about the Clyde Edwards-Helaire take. I hate it.
I don't expect it to happen.
It just seems like a way to ruin a Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm
just going with, like, you look at the teams that win millions of dollars. It is a random ass narrative that I'm not expecting that to happen. I think Mahomes goes nuts. I think he has 4 touchdowns, but I might build one lineup for like a $3 tournament, or maybe a milli maker one as like a completely contrarian type of approach. I don't think that happens. I'm just saying.
No, I hear what you're saying.
A way to get different.
I hear you. You have to be different than the other guys to win. And, you got to zag when you think other people are zigging and all that. And maybe CEH is the way to go there. It's just, man, I hate what I see out of that guy.
I hate that call. Was there a single one that you heard from either me or CJay that you liked, or another player you thought?
Yeah, but not necessarily the low ownership guys. When you're pushing CJay on the, is there anybody in the NFC game that you would like as a stack? And he's kind of like hemming and hawing because, like, he'd rather have those Chiefs, and so he doesn't want to spend. I mean, yeah, Stafford, OBJ, but then I look at that and I'm just like, why? Like, like I can think of a bunch of kind of off base things to do, but none of them really make that much sense to me. I think the lineups that are going to win are probably going to be the ones similar to what we're talking about here with, like you said, the one or two kind of like wonky guys, right, that you don't expect to go off. But I don't know. Yeah. I really like your Boyd call as far as being in the slot. But I mean, I think, that seems to be pretty common knowledge right now, right?
Kind of, yeah. It's not like crazy common. But yeah, he's not like a 5% ownership guy like Sony Michel's going to be. He's not going to be a completely different approach. I'm with you too. And last weekend, the Millie Makers were teams that did overstack that. It's not overstack. They did it the right way, but almost completely exclusively loaded up on Bills and Chiefs and just saw that game. That's going to be my approach. I'm just going to load almost entirely up on that game. Obviously, you had to have Gabe Davis last weekend if you were winning. I don't know. I mean, clearly we're not going to have a 200-yard, 4-touchdown performance from anyone, never mind a $4,600 receiver. But to me, that like a cheaper, lower-owned guy could be, we mentioned Boyd, or maybe, again, Juwan Jennings scores a touchdown or somehow two, or Uzuma. That's kind of what I'm thinking is loading up on those games, and one of those three kind of lower-owned guys goes nuts at the bottom. That's kind of how I'm approaching it. I think I know we already kind of like hinted at this one, and this would be a funny clip to make on Monday when we're all just getting completely bashed and bruised by Cooper Kupp. But we all talked about how we want to fade Kupp so we can get in a bit more of those Chiefs Bengals key weapon pieces. And when you have Kupp in there at 8,800, 1,800 more than Tyreek Hill this weekend, it does really limit your roster flexibility and the amount of studs you can get in there. So yeah, of course I'll make a couple lineups out there with Kupp, because how can you completely fade the guy? He hasn't been under 20 points and God knows when. But I'm fading Kupp. Is there any other players, CJ, that you're looking at like, I'm not touching this guy that might be popular this weekend?
I mean, maybe Jamar Chase. I don't know. I think I've already dug my heels in on Higgins, so I'm just gonna roll with Higgins at this point. I'm thinking of what they did to Stephon Diggs last week. Completely took him out of the game and gave Davis 8. So that's my thought process there.
What do you think, Truth?
I mean, I don't know how. What's the price on Deebo?
He's 7,200. Yeah.
I love the guy so much. If you told me that he wasn't worth that, I'd believe you in this game. How much do we trust Jimmy G? Not a whole lot. I mean, although he keeps winning games, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah.
But doesn't always require a ton of stats. I'm actually with you. I am fading Deebo. I don't have him in any builds as of right now. Given Tyreek Hill's $200 cheaper. I mean, I can't justify going to Deebo for $200 more right now. And again, he'll be a low owned. It's weird that like Deebo, a stud of his nature, is kind of contrarian. About 25% ownership, they're thinking. And on a slate like this, 25%, only 4 games is actually really low. Right. So I get it. But he is a contrarian play, and it could end up making people a ton of money. He's had huge games against the Rams in both outings this year. But I'm with you. I'm actually fading Deebo. He's the other one that's going to toss out there. In addition to just pretty much the entire Rams. I'm pretty much just fading that entire game and just going all in on that first game with maybe a low-owned sprinkling. It did seem to me, CJ, are you fading Mixon? Because you talked about having McKinnon in there. Who's your other backs that you're rolling with?
Yeah. We kind of talked about Mixon earlier on when we were talking about the games. Yeah, I'm not really into Mixon. I mean, I was looking at McKinnon, Michelle, and Eli Mitchell. Those are my 3 running backs I'm looking at.
Oh, man. I can't fade Mixon, but Truth, would you be fading Mixon?
Yeah, I think I would. I think I would be fading Mixon. Also, just kind of interesting. All 4 running backs you mentioned, they all start with M. I was trying to think of some really cool acronym, and I have failed completely. But that was unfortunately all the great football knowledge that has come out of this podcast. The thing that stuck with me the most is like, wow, all those running backs' names start with M.
Crucial. Huge breaking news.
Right.
But Mixon would be an impressive fade because he's expected to be by far the heaviest owned running back. So if he does, he had 11 points just a couple weeks ago. If he comes in with just a mediocre game of that nature, it's going to be a huge way to gain leverage on the field for sure. I personally won't be fading him myself, but it's something to consider. No doubt about it.
I think that's what's going to happen. I do think he's going to have a mediocre game.
At 1,100 more than any other running back, that might be the way you fade Mixon and you go to Sony Michel, like some very low owned running back. Maybe you can get Mahomes and Kupp, whereas before it was almost impossible to do that. it could be a way to gain some big leverage on the field. That's not the way I'll be going about it, but I could see it. If he does falter, if he has a mediocre day, as you guys are predicting, it's a very smart fade.
I feel like now I have to do a couple lineups just so I can.
You should toss them on in there, Truth. It's
right.
win $1 million for the cause here this weekend. It'd be awesome.
Okay.
But we'll move on now to our second segment or third segment here, where we're going to pull in, as we talked about with you guys before, but now we have a great looking banner here. Thanks to CJay. Prize Picks. CJay, you want to run down the promo real quick, what we're doing over there with Prize Picks?
Yeah. So, as it says on the screen, we're doing 100% first deposit match up to $100 using our promo code RSJ, or I'll actually, let me drop the link in there too.
Yeah. Toss that link on into the chat. Toss it on into I put it in the description as well of the video if you want to click it there. But yeah, up to $100 deposit match. It's a great prop betting, prop game, based game. And their lines we're talking about today are not easy, but as generous as can be. You won't find anything as nice on the sports books anywhere as these lines. And I'm going to actually pull them in here. So that's the information there on the promo we're doing. I'll pull in the site. The app is just as clean, if not cleaner than the site, where you'll have all these different categories. You'll have your lines. As you can see, I haven't seen Mahomes under 290 and we got 283, 210 for Garoppolo.
210 for Jimmy.
Yeah, for a lot. So, and you can go through the different categories up here, rush yards, receiving. I really love two things, the fantasy scores, because yes, you might bet on receptions or you might bet on yards, but you get the whole package here, and it is PPR scoring. There's a lot of these lines I do really like for that. And I also just love the bet of going for touchdowns, receiving TDs. You usually get a lot of juice on that if you're doing it on a sports book. You don't have that juice on Prize Picks, the prop-based game here. You get 5 of them right, you 10x your money. Even if you get 4 and you get 1 wrong, you still 4x your money. But there are different ways, different structures if you only want to go for 3 of them. But you might get 1 wrong and lose everything, or you could get 10x your money. There's all these different ways to structure your lineups. So guys, why don't we just kind of go through and talk about some of our favorite Prize Picks? Truth, we'll start with you. Who are some of the guys you're really targeting this weekend on Prize Picks?
All right, I'm just going to give 3 guys, and then I'm going to put together into whatever. I think 3 to win 5x is what I'm going to be doing. Tell me what you think. I know CJay hates all the running backs. I really like Eli Mitchell, 66.5 yards.
All right, let's go down to Eli Mitchell, 66.5. Yep.
I really like it. I mean,
another interesting tool. Yeah. Well, I'll give you one sec, but if you click this graph too, I always love doing this. It just shows you their game logs and when they've hit it and when they haven't too. So just an intriguing tool for Prize Picks. What was your case for you?
I just think he's going to get a lot of carries, and I think he's the undisputed guy in the backfield. If you look at all the other backfields, well, not all the other backfields, because I guess Mixon is the undisputed guy in Cincinnati. But if you look at the Rams, we're like, oh, Akers, Michelle, who knows what's going to happen? If we look at the Chiefs, McKinnon, you're talking about CEH. There's no such issue, in my opinion, in the backfield in San Francisco. The guy has proven he's a workhorse. If he's healthy, and I believe he is, I expect that I think he's going to get 20 carries, in the 66.5 yards. I mean, what are you going to do? We're not dropping back with Jimmy G 35 times. I mean, I know Deebo will get some carries out of the backfield as well, but I'm expecting Eli Mitchell to get 66.5 yards. I also really like OBJ over 47.5 yards receiving. Seems like a low number. You know what I mean? I don't know. I saw that and I immediately wanted a piece of it. Now, if you look at these, he's failed to do that 3 out of his last 5 games, although he has gone over the last 2. So I really like OBJ 47.5 yards over. And then to top that off, I like Tyreek Hill with a receiving touchdown, 0.5 over there. What do you think of those?
I think they're all solid. I really like the Tyreek Hill one. He scored, I believe, now in 5 straight playoff games, including both this year. So I really like that one. I'll parlay. I like Kelce. He's caught a touchdown in 5 straight games, 6 total in his last 5 games, as well as 5 of his last 6 playoff games. He's caught a touchdown. So I'm definitely going in on the Travis Kelce receiving touchdowns. I have my Prize Pick saved over here on my phone, so I'm going to pull those up really quickly. I do know I also love Burrow over 18 fantasy points, 18 and a half here. Now, he hasn't done that in the playoffs yet. He's been under 18 and a half, but you look at those 2 games leading into it, he was well above it. And I do think one of those games came against the Chiefs. I do think that is the type of script we see. So I really like that one a lot. I love Burrow there at 18.5. And I'm just trying to remember a couple of my other ones. I pulled up 5. I like Jimmy Garoppolo to throw a pick. I know, CJay, you always do.
Oh, God, that's money. I didn't see that one.
Yep, over one half interception. So I think he's a great bet to throw an interception.
I think Stafford's a great bet there too.
Yeah, they combine. What did you say, CJay?
I'm deciding which one to pick between those two.
Why would you pick? Go
both.
Go both. Yeah, that's true.
If it's one or the other, I'd go Jimmy G. But I think both are good bets. Myself, I think Jimmy G interception might be my favorite prize pick of the weekend. Last but not least, I do like 25.5 completions for Mahomes. If you look at the graph here, he's done that in all of his last 4 games. Playoff time, they lean on their studs. If this is the shootout we expect, I think 25 is a no-brainer for him. And I mentioned Tyler Boyd. This is kind of like the biggest toss-up of them all because he might just disappear. All the other guys are studs, and it's like ending with the least attractive option here. But 10.5 fantasy points, I think is very, very doable in a PPR setting. If they need to dink and dunk down the field, that's how teams have beat the Chiefs typically in the past, other than Gabriel Davis going nuts. But as you can see, 4 of his last 5 games for Tyler Boyd have been over that number, 18% target share on an offense that I think is going to be hucking. So those are my top 5 prize picks. CJay, I know we covered a couple you like, but are there any others you want to toss on the board for us?
Yeah, I'm trying to decide between the Stafford and Jimmy G interceptions. I didn't want to pick both, but I mean, Jimmy G's thrown 6 interceptions in his last 4 games.
He's got an interception in every. Yeah, exactly. Look at that. I mean, no brainer. Go Jimmy G. No doubt about it.
Doesn't Stafford maybe lead the league in interceptions?
Well, he's been pretty in the playoffs. He's been really good. He's been taking care of the ball.
But look at that. He has 7 in the 3 games before that. That's intense, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, I feel like he's due for one. Jimmy's obviously due for one.
Jimmy wakes up in the morning due for one.
Yeah, exactly. Jimmy G interception is my favorite prize picks of all of them this weekend. Just tossing that out there.
Watch Jimmy throw for like 450 yards and 4 touchdowns, no picks. And
0 picks.
He's going to shove it up all our asses.
Exactly.
So right? I completely thinking of Jimmy G though. I know they just added targets and pass attempts. Where are Jimmy G's pass attempts? I didn't get to look at it.
It was pretty low. 27.5 is actually not that low for.
I mean, it's 10 lower than like anybody.
You might go for the under on that one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, honestly. But no, for my actual list, I have to go Mahomes rushing yards last week.
I
like that too. I think I start off with this one every single week. It's my favorite every week. And
69 rush yards last week.
I like this too.
69 rush yards, and then even the one game that he went under, the Cincy game, that was only 2 carries. He went for 25. So I feel like in big spots and like big games that he needs to win, he wants to take care of it himself.
I agree completely. If I were going to add another one to my list, Mahomes rushing would have been the one. Although to be fair, I didn't know about the interception thing, so I would. To the 3 I have, I'd add Mahomes rushing and Jimmy G to throw a pick.
I like,
and maybe just get crazy and Stafford to throw a pick too, and just make even more money.
I did want to toss out there. I know we've been shitting on Jimmy G. Hey, he's going to throw a pick, and I think that again is the best prize pick.
Jimmy G, who wins like 75% of his NFL starts.
Exactly. It's never stats based, but guy can win. Ultimately, though, 13 fantasy points for a quarterback. That's nothing. And on prize picks, it's 1 point per interception, 1 point for fumble too. So it's not like he'll be overly penalized for these picks. So, I mean, the playoffs, he hasn't needed to do that. 4
If you combine his score for his first 2 playoff games, it's like less than 11. So
I know.
13 all of a sudden looks pretty monumental.
It really, I think that comes down to how does Deebo Samuel score? Because he's probably going to score a touchdown, right? Does it come through the air or does it come on the ground? Because if it comes on the ground, all right, Jimmy G probably not hitting that 13. So I don't love it, but it does seem pretty low if this game has any type of competition or God forbid it shoots out, that number would get blown away. So that's just one to toss out there as well. But lots of prices. Was there any other ones that we didn't cover, CJay or Truth, that you really like?
I have Cam Akers under 55.5 rushing yards. That kind of went off what we've been talking about for most of the time. And then I have Ayuk over 4 receptions or even over the 5 targets, which is new, as we pointed out earlier.
Yeah, I didn't know this target one. I like this.
I think it just came out like yesterday or the day before they had an update. And Deebo over his rushing yards at 36.5, 3 straight games over that number. And then this is the one I think Nat wants no part of this, but CEH over 35.5 rush yards.
I like that one.
35.5 is not a number I would necessarily run from. But I mean, 35.5 rushing yards, in DraftKings is not that exciting.
Yeah.
But, 30, this doesn't seem that unreasonable to me.
Yeah, 60 on what, like 6 carries last week? I mean, he was balling last week. Yeah. If they, again, I love how like prize picks can really fit into either your DraftKings builds or how you're betting a game. Like, again, if you guys think the Chiefs with the 7 points, that means they'll probably have a healthy lead for a decent, if not all, the second half. Hilaire at 35.5 is like a no-brainer prize pick because they'll be running the ball more, trying to bleed some clock. Although even then, it's like Mahomes will probably still just continue to chuck it the entire game. That's how they always operate in the playoffs. But still, it is a good way to kind of take all your hedge on your DraftKings or double up, not hedge would be the opposite rather, but like double up on what you're doing on DraftKings or how you're betting these games. It's just an interesting way. Prize picks overall, again, use code RSJ as a way to get up to $100 deposit matchup. It's a great fun fantasy game that we've been all about here. Just pull that up one more time for you guys to see. Code RSJ, links in the chat or the description here. If you haven't played it, it's an awesome time. And of course, a $20 deposit or more, not only will be matched, but it will help your boys out. We'll get a nice little kickback, show the power of the Wolfpack. So consider playing there. Indeed. The last game that I want to preview with everybody, it's probably my favorite way to play fantasy right now.
Let's do it.
And that is UnderDog, which also has props. We did mention, the lines are pretty soft on prize picks. They're trickier on UnderDog, no doubt, but there's a ton of fun ways to play this UnderDog best ball game. So let me just pull in really quickly a preview of what we've got going on with UnderDog, our newest sponsor, and one of my favorite ways, again, to play fantasy this year is UnderDog. So you can use code RSJ as well, $10 minimum deposit, and we get a nice little kickback. So that would be greatly appreciated. If you never played on there, you draft a team, they calculate your best lineup over the regular season. In the playoffs, it's obviously a little bit different. I'll even just kind of pull in a draft in a second and show you guys how it works. We'll draft the team together. But there's so many different ways you can use UnderDog, one of the best up-and-coming fantasy sites in the game. And as you can see on the slides, they have some really intriguing promos going on. If you're new to it, you can get a Jamar Chase 1 receiving yard bonus there to kind of get you into their prize bets. I think you might hit over 1 receiving yard. Last week it was Deebo. The week before, I think it was Mahomes to throw a yard. They just kind of get you in there with a nice promo. So if you haven't played, and code RSJ or the link in the chat can get you there. But you get that Jamar Chase bonus. They're also running a what they call the championship weekend showdown, where you draft against 4 other people at $6. You get a shot at $20K if you win it. So why not just throw $6 to the wind? It's better than throwing a random lottery ticket out there. Go for it. Go for this. That's actually what we're going to draft in a second. Right. A great way to play. But again, code RSJ, as well as those different ways to prop bet and all that good stuff. CJay, have you been getting involved in UnderDog since we started this? Have you played around on any of their formats yet?
Yeah, I did the playoff best ball. I got knocked out. My 2 remaining lineups got knocked out last week. Even though I was mainly Chiefs, I had Mahomes in both lineups. I picked him in the first round in both leagues. But Gabriel Davis and Josh Allen just destroyed me. But which sucks for those guys though, because now they're out.
I was just gonna say I moved on in a bunch. I had a great round myself, and ultimately now I have Gabe Davis and Josh Allen. It's like, what's gonna happen now? I have no idea. So we'll see there. But I'm just gonna pull up right here as we kind of talk about our favorite ways to play. This is an example of the championship week we were just highlighting, where it's $6 and you just draft against 4 other people. And then, of course, you're facing off against however many thousand people are in this contest, but the winner does get $20K. We're matched up with Booty, Simply 100. Maybe that's Seamus. Who knows? Maybe he used our code there, RSJ. And then B Mills.
He's actually in this draft twice.
Well, he's
going. Oh, no, is that the snake wraparound?
Yeah,
Never mind. I was like, oh my God, he's got 2 teams.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So we'll draft a team here. Maybe we even do a couple here live with you guys. But we have the first pick, as you guys can see. It's going to start in 30 seconds. There's a couple lines of thinking here. Do we go Mahomes and just lock up the number 1 QB? Or do we go after Kupp? It's a half PPR on here and just lock up the number 1 skill player, knowing we'll probably be stuck with Jimmy G if we don't get a quarterback in these first 2 rounds, which we
Can I just ask real quick, weekly? Is this week or is this
Just
covered
this
the
week?
next?
Yep,
the
this
next
is
2 games?
just
Okay.
for this week. It's not going to carry over at all.
What do you
I'm
think,
going
CJ?
Mahomes. I'm going Mahomes.
Yeah, I think we lock in our number one QB of the week. Let's go, Patty Mahomes. I have done too many of these drafts already, and I will admit I really do like the builds where I forgo on an early quarterback because you'll see Matthew Stafford and Burrow now go before it gets back to us. Let's say I went Kupp. I've often gotten like Kupp, Deebo, and Jamar Chase at the top, and then you can just go Jimmy G as your last pick. It does if he ends up having a mediocre day, Jimmy G. That's an intriguing way to build these lineups. I will toss that out there. I have been going a ton of Kelce. You see him go there at number 3, just the biggest edge at tight end you could possibly get this week. But yeah, I've also found myself drafting, that 4 range as well, going for Kelce and Tyreek after Mahomes is gone to stack up on those Chiefs. So, but we got Mahomes early. We probably will not get a Tyreek. We certainly won't get Kelce. Yeah, there goes Tyreek as well. So first 4 picks, just so you guys can all see it out there. Mahomes, Kupp, Kelce, Deebo, and then Tyreek Hill there. None of the other quarterbacks have gone, which is kind of.
I'm assuming this is not a super flex, right? We can't throw in another quarterback.
No, sadly we cannot. This is so again, as I said, I've done about 10 of these or so far. Usually the quarterbacks come flying off the board. So I'm pretty shocked to see both Stafford and Burrow have continued to linger out here. This is the first time I've seen it. Personally, I know you guys have called for poor games from Mixon, but compared to Eli Mitchell and Akers especially, there's a drop off at running back. So I kind of like getting Mixon here, potentially even mixing him up.
What are you thinking of the second pick as we're going around the corner here? If you take Mixon,
so I took Mixon. I did.
You
yeah,
did. This wasn't a discussion. I thought this was going to be like kind of a committee type.
Well, we have 18 seconds. So who do you think? I like T. Higgins or Eli Mitchell here to just get both the top running backs. What are your thoughts? T. Higgins or Eli? Who are we going?
I'd go Eli.
Me too.
All right, we'll try it out. We're going Eli. Our receivers are going to be complete ass cheeks, but that's okay. We do have Mahomes though too, so I kind of like the idea of like getting Pringle and Hardman late or something like that to stack up our boy. So this is going to be a weird setup, no doubt about it. I've never done one quite like this, but that's how you win these things too. You got to be different than the field. So Mahomes, Mixon, Eli Mitchell so far. Now you'll see.
Yeah, and I mean all these other guys need quarterbacks and running backs, so maybe we will luck out with the receivers a little bit.
Right. Hopefully, I'm hoping like either Higgins or Beckham, one of the two falls.
Just took Stafford, Burrow, so they're gone. Now Jimmy G's sitting, and for this other guy that doesn't have a quarterback, he has no incentive to pick Jimmy G until
the last pick, right?
Round,
and that's the one benefit of when you do get Jimmy G. If he somehow even comes close to Burrow and Stafford, again, the last few weeks, 4 and 5 points, so he could tank your lineup completely. But if he gets 18 and the other guys had 20. Waiting on him and loading up at the other positions is going to be the way you win this thing. So
we're going to get T. Higgins or
we might get both.
You guys jinx it, booty.
We could get Boyd and OBJ.
Yeah,
I think we have to go OBJ. No doubt about it. You guys agree with that, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then so the thing is like we're the last team to draft a tight end, but somebody could take Higbee for their flex. In which case we'll be left with like Blanton and Noah Gray and nobody. Do you guys think we go for Boyd or we just take Higbee and lock up a mediocre tight end?
Yeah, I'd probably go Higbee, and then you can come around with either. We should target Pringle. I would say.
Right. Yeah.
I agree.
All right, let's do it. And if Boyd falls to us, we can go Boyd with our last pick. But if not, we can go Ayuk. We can go Pringle. Someone of that nature. Yeah. So these are, again, the UnderDog $6 contest for championship weekend. Very fun contest. I love doing these. It's just I'll be laying in bed and end up doing like 5 of them before you know it because they go quick. But it's just a fun way to draft and keep things alive, a way to differentiate from DraftKings but still have a shot at those big prize pools. I do have a few of those lineups, CJ. We were talking about the full playoff best ball. I have a handful still alive. I have one that had Gabe Davis and Mahomes. So I'm hoping that one can somehow continue to power through. We'll see how it goes.
We got a couple interesting guys here. Jennings, who you mentioned, is on the board. Boyd, of course, is still on the board. Sony Michel, I think, is on the board. No, he got picked. Never mind.
Yeah, and we already have 2 running backs, so we couldn't take one anyways.
Well, you could have flexed him if you really believed in him, but
No, because the 2 running backs, our second running backs, are flex here.
Oh, you only get 1 running back. Okay.
Run. So yeah, but Pringle fell right to our laps. I prefer him over Hardman. Do either of you guys feel differently?
Yeah, I like Pringle.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. All righty. I think this team ended up pretty solid. It's a different build than the most I've seen on here. To get those 2 top running backs was an intriguing move. So I kind of like how that team turned out. So that, again, a way to play underdog, code RSJ, a way to get on that action indeed.
And now we're going to do a 2022 slow draft best ball lineup.
Yeah, exactly. You can watch us for the next 2 weeks. We will not leave our chairs as we do a slow draft for the best balls. So
those
awesome
those are so brutal. I mean, I obviously understand the point of them, but like, they get so annoying sometimes.
I can't do the slow ones. I can't. I hate them. I have obviously too much ADHD for that. And look at our old friend. We'll get to the comments here with our old friends, but Mitch Chavez not there on Thursday. Mitch, what the hell? Truth, I was a little upset. I actually lost sleep because Mitch Chavez wasn't with us on Thursday. But do you forgive him?
Yeah, I forgive him, even though he did, I think, call me CJay once this year.
He did. But we're just fucking with you, Mitch. Great to see you. Screw the Chiefs, even though we all know they're going to win. He said, nice seeing all 3 of you together. Maybe the nicest human we've ever met in our lives.
I know,
another regular, David, who was calling for us to go live on Saturdays and Sundays more often. Here we are just for you, David, and we're pumped. Davey Prosciutto showed up here. Need some player props from CJay. I'm liking Mahomes over 29.5 rush yards. CJay, I imagine you love that one too.
Yeah, I mean he's using a regular sports book. I think DraftKings is 29.5, but yeah, I'm still liking it there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, David, are you not playing on Prize Picks? There's 26.5 there, so even 3 yards for a QB rushing prop can be the make or break difference. So definitely check out Prize Picks if you haven't already. It might not be illegal. It is.
He's in New Jersey. It's weird. New Jersey allows sports betting, but they don't allow Prize Picks. I don't understand how that works.
Can we get some lobbyists in Trenton to take care of that? Or Newark?
We'll be Prize Picks lobbyists. We'll just we'll march around the state house.
Do it. I don't have much to do. Let's go.
We'll show our commitment to our sponsors. Yeah, body paint in freezing degree weather. Prize Picks across the chest.
Promo code RSJ.
This is how committed we are to you guys and our sponsors. Continue to join the Roto Street team. Yeah, both passing props on DK are high, as he says. I don't know exactly what he means for that. Like I think
QBs. He means maybe the quarterbacks on the DraftKings sportsbook. I'm thinking.
Interesting. All righty. What else do we have here?
He likes the over in the Chiefs Bengals. So did all of us, I think.
All of us picked that one. Hammer the points there, no doubt.
OBJ. I picked OBJ over 47.5 on Prize Picks.
You think he goes over 52.5?
Obviously we agree. I like that less, but I don't think it's crazy.
Yeah, I think that's what it was last week on DraftKings. I used one of my friend's DraftKings books, and I think it was around 52, and he hit that last week.
Yeah, I think it's a good line too. For the reasons we were saying, they might sell out to take out Kupp. You can't really take out Kupp, but if they do that,
yeah, what are you gonna do? We're gonna take Kupp out, hold him to like 96 and a touchdown, something like that.
And if they hold Kupp to 96, that probably means OBJ did have 60, 70 yards. Limiting him to 96 yards.
And Higbee probably has like 45 if that happens, something like that.
Right, exactly.
He says, hey, guys, how's the blizzard up by you? Do you have enough alcoholic supplies to survive? I'm actually in the situation where I'm out of beer, and there is some liquor around, so I'm having to kind of I might have to get a little creative tonight, or I might have to just bite the bullet and drive out and get some beer.
How did you let yourself run out of beer knowing this snowstorm was coming?
I'm lazy, man. I'll have the conversation with myself where I'll just be like, you know what, I'm gonna stop drinking for a while, and then I don't. But
are you gonna
dry January?
I was gonna say dry January, starting January 20th.
Dry January starting on the 30th.
I said I was gonna do a second half dry January, and I quit not even an hour into it. It was like, nope. I think one thing what happened. I was like, nope.
I always try to do one of these, and then every month or something, I'm like, all right, I'll do January, but then it's all the playoff games.
Oh,
February Super Bowl first week done. But I think maybe after the Super Bowl, between that and March Madness might be the time. But
it might be, but there's other things that are going to come up that you might justify having several beers for.
Going to a Bruins game or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. There's no way. It's just impossible. I'll never be able to do a dry month. It's so sad, but it's so true. So yes, of course, David. The rest of us are well more prepared than the truth over here. That's a sad tale.
The truth, I'll make some bathtub gin or something like that.
Exactly, fermenting grapes in the basement. Whatever it takes to get it done.
The Chiefs are going to spank the Bengals. Arrowhead hit different in late January. Joey franchise ain't ready. You're probably right.
I don't think so, Tags. I know. I mean, I get that Arrowhead is different, but I think Joey B has some of the biggest balls in the NFL. Like, I think I'm not worried about him being on the road, Arrowhead getting to him or anything of that nature. I think the Chiefs might be too good and they still win, but I don't think it's going to be because Joey B folds. Like, not at all. I don't know. What do you guys think?
No, I actually agree with that. I agree with everything except the last couple words of what Hegg said. I mean, I don't think they're going to lose because Burrow folds. I agree.
No, I think Joe Burrow had a quote. They're trying to say that it happened this week, but it was like before he got drafted. And they asked him about NFL stadiums, and he's like, every SEC stadium is louder than any NFL stadium, which is probably true. Outside of Vanderbilt or something.
Wasn't he a Chiefs fan? I saw that picture, right? You posted on Instagram, CJ, where he
had
I
don't know. He's from like Northern Ohio, which surprised me that he's a Chiefs fan, but
I don't know what that baby picture was, but he had a Chiefs helmet on as a little boy. So who knows?
Starting at 1.99K. Let's get there to 2K. Wolves. Yeah, I mean, Wolf even suggested maybe we were there and then we backslid. So
we were definitely there.
Really?
Damn.
And then some people were just like, I don't want any part of this anymore.
They're already talking about 2022. These psychos, get them off my field. So I guess, if you're gone because of that, good riddance. We don't want to grow the pack with those types of people. We want you fantasy addicts that love this stuff all year round. So if that is you and you're new here and you haven't already hit sub, please consider doing so. We'll be live every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern time to talk fantasy football and just keep the good vibes rolling all off season. So please consider doing so. Thank you, Mitch. Indeed.
At least you didn't say 2 queefs, 1 cup.
Yes. Not another good one, too.
No, that's
2 queefs, 1 cup.
He says, it's amazing how Sony Michel is good now. Another example of bad coaching by Belichick, in my opinion. Doesn't know how to draft or use his players, or in capitals there. Nikhil will probably go to the NFC this offseason, catch 100 balls for 1,500 yards. Bill Belichick, overrated. Smoking hot take. Coming off the top turnbuckle.
Heggs is a notorious Tom over Bill guy. He like has the he went to the Bucks Patriots game dressed in all Tom Brady stuff, got on ESPN. He always snakes his way into stuff.
You guys think Brady's about to retire?
There's a lot of smoke. I just saw a tweet that like Tony Romo said the same thing. I don't care about Jason. Jason LaConfora sucks, but Tony Romo is saying they talked to Tom and it seems like it's done.
Supposedly his assistant is like looking for jobs, right? I mean, that's a data point, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, could be. But yeah, Heggs. I wish Ben Tomsick was here. Another RFJ legend. Him and Heggs could go back and forth here today. Where is Benny? Call him out for us, Heggs.
Mitch says if Honey Badger's out again, in the middle for KC will be wide open again on the Chiefs D. Yeah.
Yeah, but he practiced in full on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. It seems like they're going to be at full strength. But guess what? They were at full strength the last time these two teams played. And the middle was wide open. He threw for 454 yards and 4 touchdowns. So I don't care the Honey Badgers out there. Obviously, be better without him. But, hey, it's not going to make a difference. Joe Burrow's going to do his damage, even though the Chiefs will probably do far more damage on the end.
Michelle says Michelle is the best running back.
Well played, Michelle. Indeed. Strap on the chin strap. Michelle jogging out of the locker room with the Rams gear on and hitting the hole hard. I love it. Good stuff. Well played.
Mitch says, when's the new apparel dropping? Great question. I need some new swag, fellas.
We kind of fell off the map with that one.
That was a lot of work.
Like ready, and then we just couldn't get the score.
We spent an awful lot of time on our podcasts talking about this stuff. No?
It will be coming, no doubt. But it was one of those things where, one, we wanted to order some samples, make sure everything comes out good and looks good and get it all right. It's our first time doing print on demand, and already, like, even just ordering samples, a couple things came back ordered, and it's just a process that we want to get smoothed out before we roll it out to you guys. So, Mitch, I love that you're eager. Yeah. I love that all the Wolfpack. It is going to come. We're probably going to wait until like it gets hot again in the June time or whatnot. we'll obviously let you guys kind of in on some pre-drops and things of that nature. The most loyal Wolfpack will drop like secret links and things like that. But we just didn't want to go before we were actually ready and had a really good-looking site. And there was just really no reason to rush it because it was already the end of the season. The search probably wasn't going to be there. And we didn't want to like give away some of the cool products we're going to be dropping, let our competitors kind of pick up on them during the dead of the offseason. So it is coming, Mitch. Don't you worry. But there was just a few things we had to iron out first.
Yeah, I mean, it takes me like over a month to even think of like going to the mailbox to send something. But if you DM us, we do have T-shirts. I do have a bunch of shit here. So
yeah, we do have plenty of gear you can get.
Yeah, you can just shoot us a Venmo or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and there's the link.
Of course, have seen our link for Prize Picks. Also, UnderDog, we got a similar thing going. And last comment, Mitch says, my daughter's birthday is on Thursday. She turned 6. And yes, I did. Truth. Mitch, I also have a 6-year-old. It's a fun age, so that's awesome. Enjoy that. And I promise I'm not going to bring up the CJay mistake anymore. This is the last podcast I'm going to bring it up on because I have called someone who I knew what their name was, the wrong name before, and then they brought it up for like 4 years after that. It just made me feel like shit every time. So I'm going to stop bringing it up. I know you know who we are. And happy birthday to your daughter, bud.
I guess that's a semi-viable excuse to miss the Thursday stream. Fine, Mitch. I'll get over it. No, that's awesome. Happy birthday.
You can't watch the live stream with your daughter?
Yeah, she should be watching it every day.
My son shows up on the live stream sometimes.
She'll learn some new language, that's for sure.
Right.
No worries, Mitch. Absolutely, that's awesome. Happy birthday to your daughter.
And then Dave says, wait, I have to wait until June for swag. What am I supposed to wear all spring? Nothing, Dave. You're supposed to wear nothing.
You know what? Well, I can get it. Maybe that will make that, like after the Super Bowl, we'll make that a really big project. We kind of got hyper-focused again. We had the UnderDog, striking some promos, all this good stuff in the works that we just took the merch off the to-do list for a little bit, but we can get that rolling for you guys.
Maybe even if it's like just like the Roto Street stuff, or maybe don't do the punishment stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true, right? Like the true loyal fan stuff, just Roto Street stuff, things of that nature. Maybe we'll get that up and running for you guys, no doubt.
Doesn't he says here, at least CJay can grow a nice, beautiful beard, and thank you, Truth. Don't you the way the boxes with our heads in them are, doesn't CJay just look huge? Doesn't he, like, he just looks like he's like a 6'5", 320-pound lineman, kind of like the top of his head doesn't even fit in the box, and like his box is also just a little bigger than ours at the bottom. Just looks like he could like throw one of us over each shoulder and just pound the shit out.
He kind of looks like Hodor, doesn't he? From Game of Thrones.
I don't even know that. I'm not a Game of Thrones.
I don't think Hodor wore glasses.
But no, I was doing a job interview probably like 2 months ago, and right away the guy's like, "You have huge shoulders and like huge traps."
You're like, yeah,
like,
thank you for noticing.
I don't know. It might be the way I sit or something. I have no idea.
But you're just like closer to the camera and the boxes.
It was a former NFL GM that said that to me.
Wow. You gonna go line up at free safety, CJay? Get those huge shoulders and traps back in action. I love it.
And Dave says, I need the swag before the end of July. Wife is expecting at that point. But it's like one of those things, like if you're anything like me or my wife, Wolf, and I know you are, you say the end of July, we're like, well, that's really far. I mean, it's plenty of time. And then like July 20th comes around and you realize you haven't done anything at all to make it happen.
It'll
Then you start scrambling.
It'll be July 20th and Wolf will be like, guys, we need to get that guide out by like July 25th.
Right. Let's all spitball ideas. We got 4 days to get this done.
No, but congrats too as well. That's exciting stuff.
There's a lot of sex going on in the Wolfpack lately.
I like it. Yeah, did you see that? Were you here when 909 was talking about getting laid for the first time in a while?
Yeah, that actually was a really funny conversation.
That was hilarious. Yeah.
That was good.
The basketball for truth. Yeah.
Mitch says, yes, she usually is around talking about his daughter, and yeah, along with the bouncing basketball. Correct. And then Mitch also says he dominates his area. He's talking about CJay, of course, with those massive shoulders. He's the bodyguard. And yes,
those huge traps. Yeah. He'll toss anybody out.
He's a more effective bodyguard, probably like on Zoom than if we were actually like if we were like in a club or something, it maybe wouldn't be as effective.
No, definitely don't look like this in person.
Awesome, Wolfpack. Well, this has been a fun preview show. Indeed, if you're catching us on the podcast, the Fantasy Fullback Dive, or if you ever prefer listening to audio because you're at work, whatever, the Fantasy Football Dive is also where we can pave your path to 2021, now 2022 titles already. Jeez, I got to get that right for sure. But this has been a blast. Hopefully you learned a few different ways to ratchet up the excitement that's already going to be sky high with such a great weekend of football. Hopefully we give you the right betting picks here, all the things we covered over here. But this was a blast. I don't know if you have any last words, CJay, or Truth? Yeah.
We'll have my favorite show of the year coming up soon.
The Super Bowl prize pot. Yeah.
Are we gonna do a prop show?
That should be our Thursday show this week. Yeah, we'll do a prop show this Thursday.
Who from the RSJ are we gonna invite on that show?
I think
in the past we've had Jimmy on it in the past, but
I think us three and Jimbo.
Like 8.
Yeah.
Sometimes
as much as I love the duck, like once we have too many cooks, it gets a little logged down. So maybe we get Jimbo, one of Jimbo or the duck. Keegs has always been good in the past, but we haven't heard from him in about 4 years. So who knows if he's still alive?
The duck will just make us all feel bad about ourselves. Yeah,
exactly. Drinking soda while we're all just like guzzling like bathtub gin.
Right.
Oh man. But yeah, so look out for that on Thursday. We'll do our prop betting live show. Indeed, it's gonna be a good time. But yeah, it's been fun. I'm the Wolf.
I'm the Truth.
I'm CJay.
And in a world full of fantasy sheep, guys, be that wolf. Best of luck this weekend. Hope you win a ton of money, as long as we also win all that money too. Later, guys.
Later.
See ya.